is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new stuff from the Revolution Saints. That song is called Freedom. New album is called Light in the Dark. And here to shine that light in the dark of what we know about this record, it's the one and only Doug Aldrich. Doug, how are you, man?
I'm good. Hey, Chris. How you guys? How's it going?
Excellent, man. Well, Doug, got to tell you, man, right off the bat, this record, fantastic, man. It's bigger than the last one. It feels more solid than the last one. It's just good stuff, man. So congratulations.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Thanks, man. It means a lot coming from you, and we really appreciate you guys pumping it and getting it to the people and stuff. And yeah, we had fun making it. It turned out. The goal is always to improve on what you've done in the past. So I hope we've done that,
Sure. Now, no secret, Doug, it's been a turbulent time, I'll say, for you guys, specifically with Dean. But while he may have had some issues between the first record and this record, had to be tough for you guys as well, for you and Jack as well, to figure out everything from what are you going to do? Are you going to continue? Do you wait? Do you move forward? So let's start there a little bit. Talk about the experience, between the last record and this one, and the choices that you had to make and the choices that you did make to continue.
Well, Dean, first of all, is 1,000% better, and I'm really proud of him. He's my bro.
Sure.
And I've really happy for him. He's in a great place. He's very happy. He's in the relationship with his fiancée that was, they were having a little trouble because Dean, wasn't himself, and he had a substance problem, and he has, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to really be shaken up enough to where you're like, okay, I'm gonna fix this once and for all.
Sure.
If it doesn't go to rock bottom, you kind of always can, especially, I know I've got history of substance abuse and alcoholism in my family, and I know how it is. And if you don't hit rock bottom, you kind of rationalize it away.
Right.
It's okay. I'm just having a bad day. But he did hit rock bottom. Obviously, he had trouble with his girl. He had trouble with substances, and then ended up getting let go from Journey, at least for a while. And so, that's a wake-up call. And he came through it with flying colors, as you hear and see on the new record. And so, but to back up a little bit to answer your question, when he was going through that, we were obviously really shocked and, sad by it.
Sure.
See that happen to your friend. But he needed to go take care of himself. He needed to do that, and so pretty much there was no talk of doing anything, until or if we didn't really plan on anything. I mean, we just wanted to see him get better.
Right.
We didn't plan on the second record. So that was it. Once Dean got better, we kept in touch. There's a lot of people that turned their back on him and would turn their back. And, you read stuff online or people say stuff. But I would say to them, everyone deserves a second chance. No matter, we all have done stupid things, and all of us have gotten in trouble. And, your family and your close friends got to stick by you and give you a second chance. If you let them down again, then all bets are off. Then it's like, okay, you're out. You've let me down. I can't trust you. That's it. But that wasn't the case with Dean. He needed to have a second chance from the people that care about him. So that's what we did. Stayed in touch. Everybody was supportive about, and it worked out. And
Sure.
He's been over 2 years clean and sober. But then somebody decided, what about a follow-up?
Right.
And there was a little hesitation from me, just from the standpoint that we hadn't done anything really. We just made a record, and that was
Yeah.
good, but it's not a band if you're not playing live and working it and doing that thing. And so, and plus we hadn't seen, and worked and played with Dean. So it was kind of a little bit up in the air, but I talked to Dean, and Dean was into it. The record company was into it. Jack came on board a little bit later. He was busy. But we got together in Italy, and it turned out great. And I kind of justified it because I thought, well, there's a lot of people that have always asked me, will the band ever tour, or will there be another record? A lot of people just enjoy the music to listen to. You know, they don't necessarily go out to shows or whatever. They just enjoyed the record for what it was. So we can make a second record for them.
Sure.
You know, and that's how it went down.
Sure. Now I have to imagine for you specifically, but Jack as well, scheduling has to come into this, into this decision as well. You know, obviously Jack is never off the road with Night Ranger, it seems like. And
yeah.
For you, all of a sudden the Dead Daisies got sparked and started gaining some attention. So I have to imagine trying to figure out schedules as well as do you want to divert time was a decision that you had to make as well, no?
Yeah, well, absolutely, because in order to do that, we wanted to do it properly and get together, and we were going to write all the music ourselves this time.
Right.
And or for the most part, there was a couple songs that came in that we ended up re-recording, but yeah, we had to. For me, the Dead Daisies thing is a commitment while I'm working with them, but I have 6 months free off where I can do, other things. And that's cool because I really enjoy doing other things as well. So I was actually free at that chunk of time that they were looking at. And then it turned out Jack was, and Dean was definitely free because he was basically at home just practicing and stuff.
Right.
And, we carved out about 3 weeks in April that happened to line up with the Frontiers Festival. So the plan was we were going to do the record and then take a couple days and rehearse an hour-long set and then go and do the festivals. So that's how we did it. And we got together. We took everybody had, the ideas that we were working on, and we got into the studio, did pre-production, and kind of went through the arrangements and cleaned up things and changed guitar parts and did whatever. And then we recorded right away together, which was not how we did it last time. So
Sure.
The record definitely has a little bit more of a natural feel, I think, than not quite as polished.
Sure. Yeah. And one of the things that I personally noticed, specifically to you is it seems like you have, I don't know, you brought more of your metal side, I guess, to this than on the first record. Not that the first record doesn't have heavy songs, but there just seems to be more chunkier riffs and a little bit bigger soloing sound, to many of these songs, which I'm going to assume is partly because you guys wrote together instead of coming into songs that were sort of there already.
Yeah, what's funny is a lot of times, like, I'm the one that wants to have the guitarist turned down.
Okay.
Sometimes, or like, I'll say there was a song, the song that you played, Freedom. It was originally Dean had sent me a tape of him playing guitar, just jamming.
Okay. For
like 30 minutes, and he had a bunch of riffs on there, and one of them was the main riff of Freedom, which I kind of tweaked it, a little bit and played it back for him, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." But he was the inspiration. But what I was thinking of was making the song with kind of like a jungle drum beat, kind of like "In the Air Tonight" or by Phil Collins.
Sure.
Phil Collins, something like that with heavy keyboards and just having it really, and then have the keyboards come in heavy and the vocal kind of be moody. But Dean was like, "Man, that riff is so killer now, man. We gotta use that. We gotta come in and play that riff."
Right.
So I was like, "Okay, let's try it." And then, so all of a sudden it went from being a kind of a not trippy, but just, a little bit more of a mellow track to more of a rocker.
Sure. No, and
it happens.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you listen to the record, I mean, I could tell you my critique, but, and my critique's about worth as much as anybody else's. But what do you hear different from the debut? And I mean, I know you mentioned that, the writing stuff was different and whatnot, but when you listen to this, what do you hear that maybe the casual fan might not pick up on?
Well, it's hard to say exactly because sometimes when you're in the band, you're so close to it, you can't really see it. So I would probably defer that to you. But I don't know. I would say one thing that probably is true is what I had mentioned earlier, that we recorded it together, and there's nothing to substitute, at least for me, for my guitar playing. There's nothing to substitute playing with the drummer at the same time. That's
Right.
way, way, way more fun than playing on a track that's already been, the drums have already been recorded. You know what I mean? That happens a lot today, where you do that. We always did that with Whitesnake. We would go in the studio and record the drums, and then we would just go take the stuff back to David's place or the studio or whatever, and then we'd re-record. We'd do the guitars, and then we'd do the bass and whatever. That's great, but there's really, really something cool about at least capturing one guitar and with the drums and the bass too. So one guitar, a bass, and the drums together it's just got a vibe. I mean, when you play through it, you're in the moment. You capture an energy there together. It's just a little bit extra than if I could have played the exact same stuff in a different studio, but it wouldn't have been the same.
Right, definitely. Now, Doug, no secret that Dean's voice gets compared to Steve Perry just about by everybody that hears it. You know, I mean, it just is the way it is. And the ballad, I forget what the ballad is called. It's track 4, I think, on the album.
Yeah, it wouldn't change a thing.
Wouldn't change a thing. The first time I heard it, I'll be honest, I just sort of had it on in my headphones and I was working on other things. And I thought it was like one of these Steve Perry tracks that we've been waiting for 25 years. You know, it really sounds like classic Perry. And I can't figure out for the life of me how a vocalist could be this good and not have been discovered until this far into his career, as Dean has. What do you think is the reason?
I think you're right. It's bizarre how awesome his voice is, and he's just known as a drummer. You know, it's unbelievable because his voice is he's just got this tone, man. It's like I get jealous when I hear him because he's just so badass. Like how you would hear in the same way. I mean, the guys like him, they have this tone just like Coverdale, just like Dio, just like all the greats. Dean's got it, man. Even Karabi, all these guys. I've been so lucky to work with all these singers that like that. It's unbelievable. But I don't know why. Steven Tyler used to be a drummer,
right?
And for some reason, I don't know. I think there's a few guys that. Well, Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl was the drummer.
Right.
Now he's a singer. I don't know. I guess it's just something about these guys sitting in the back and they're concentrating on beating the singing. They never really get a chance to sing that much. I don't know.
Yep. No, I'm with you, man. Now, Doug, I wanted to ask you one Whitesnake question. I know that's ancient history, and it's not really a Whitesnake question as much as it's a Doug Aldrich question. It's no secret that when you were in Whitesnake, there was all kinds of talk that you were the next collaborator with David, that, David had nothing but positive things to say about writing with you and working with you. And when you left the band, I can say for me, and I can say for a lot of our fans that have listened to this show, a lot of shock that you left, but then you landed well. You obviously have the Revolution Saints, which is going well. You have the Dead Daisies, which is picking up steam. So you landed well, but when you first left, did you worry that, wow, I might all of a sudden not get back to the public eye? Because you know as well as anybody, it's hard to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it because I was just in a situation where I just wanted to be home more.
Okay.
And I was feeling the pressure, and not to say that I'm fulfilled and done, because I'm not. I've got a lot more music in me that I'm in a writing mode right now where I'm in a creative space and writing been writing with Brian Tichy for a couple things, and
okay.
Just because Brian and I musically it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. So it's not like, oh man, I got to go write. It's like, wow, I want to see what we can come up with. And I used to have that with David too. But no, to answer your question, I didn't think about it. I just needed to focus on family. I had just come off a long tour a few months earlier, and I know the process with a band like Whitesnake, and the record takes a long time to do. And we were starting to work on the Purple record, and I thought we were making great progress, but I could not commit to doing it full time.
Right.
And it just was, it was starting to get a little weird. So I decided, let's just let me tap out for a minute. I know there's a million guys that are going to be great for this gig and would be awesome. So that's what happened on his end, and my end was more, it actually worked out as a blessing because, for me, because I was home. I was doing this gig in Vegas with Howard Leese and
okay.
Hugh McDonald from Bon Jovi and a bunch of great singers. And I was home, and basically we were living in Vegas at this hotel. It was like double suite. It was pretty cool. And I'd have my concert rig from Whitesnake set up in the theater, and I could go down and wail 24 hours a day. And it was awesome. But my boy ended up getting sick, and he was in the hospital for about a month. And that would have been really difficult if I was, working on a project with Whitesnake. It would have been difficult to for the band to stop working and whatever. So I don't know, man. I was just happy to be able to take up do some offers of things like the Revolution Saints. I agreed to do it. It was going to be Dean's solo record. That's how the whole thing started.
Right.
It was they loved his voice so much they offered him a solo deal, and he asked me to plan it, which I said yes, and I would have just done it whenever I could, around the Whitesnake schedule. But then when Whitesnake freed up, I really kind of dug into it,
right.
And actually those guitars on the first record were recorded after the fact, after the drums were already cut to the demos. Then I cut my guitars to the drums, and I did it down in the studio. It wasn't a studio; it was a bar underneath the stage at the Las Vegas Hilton, where Elvis used to. He finished out his last 7 years of his career.
Wow!
And he used to go down in this. He'd go down in this bar, and he would hang out with his buddies. Frank Sinatra or whoever would be down there. In between songs, he'd be down there while the band's still playing. He'd have a smoke or whatever, have a drink, cocktail.
Right.
And this bar was kind of closed off.
Okay.
And I was looking for a place to cut guitars, and I asked the hotel, "Is it cool if I look for a room?" Because there was all these rooms underneath the stage, backstage. And they said, "Yeah, you could go in the old Elvis bar." And I'm like, "What?" So that's where I cut those guitars. It was so cool. I cleaned it out. I made it into like a really nice little studio vibe.
Right. What did you find? Yeah, I know you found something in there that was cool. What did you find?
Well, I didn't. No, I mean, to be honest, I didn't. There was nothing left from Elvis. It was all just old boxes and stuff. And it was people had gone through that room several times, so it wasn't. And I there was a bunch of stuff there, but I didn't look at it. I was basically just wanted to find a space where I could cut guitars.
Right.
And it worked out. It worked out great because I would just, in the daytime before I did the gig at night, I'd go down there and record the guitars, and I'd go up and have dinner with the family in the room, go down and play guitar for a couple hours, and go back up. And I did that for a while, but eventually got kind of burned out on the being at home so much and doing the same gig. So I decided to start to take a little bit of time to tour and do stuff, and that's how I kind of got back out. But to answer your original question, no, I didn't think about whether I'd get back in the. I knew the fans that knew me would support me.
Sure.
But there's a lot of people. Even right now, man, they go to a Whitesnake show, and some kid it'd be the first time he's ever seen Whitesnake, and it's like that to him is the classic lineup.
Right. Sure.
So.
No doubt, man.
Yes.
Well, Doug, obviously this record is out in a couple of weeks, I think. Right? When is it out?
It's just over 2 weeks on the 13th of October, Friday the 13th.
Excellent. And will you get to tour on this or play some gigs, or what does it look like this time?
Well, we'll see what kind of offers we get. But Dean and I have definitely committed to doing that if we get the kind of offers where we could do it.
Okay.
And, you know, like, for example, we had some really, really terrific offers from Japan and from the UK and Germany on the last record. If that kind of thing was to come in now, we could actually do it. Because last time, like you said, Jack was always with Night Ranger and Dean was always with Journey.
Right.
And I was kind of in a situation where I didn't want to travel so much. But at this point now, I think all three of us would love to do a little short run here in Japan. Say, for example, another maybe 2 or 3 weeks in Europe would be great. Just UK and Germany and wherever we were wanted, you know.
Sure.
And then we could maybe do some charity stuff in the States or something like that. Maybe even some corporate stuff. But I would love to do some charity stuff with Revolution Saints just to kind of kick it back off. I think that would be a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, and the time is definitely right and needed for it, no?
Yes, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, and we just need some, you know, we just need to have people pull together, you know?
Right. No, I'm with you, man. Well, dude, as we said, the name of the album is Light in the Dark. It is the Revolution Saints. And Doug, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track and maybe tell us a story about it to wrap the interview up with. So what would you like us to wrap this one with?
Why don't we wrap, I mean, from the new record, can I pick?
Yeah, absolutely.
We could pick Ride On.
Okay.
It's I think it's the fifth track maybe. I'm not sure actually. I don't have the record in front of me, but the track is called Ride On. And the story behind Ride On is originally it had a really kind of crazy guitar intro, and I thought it was a little too much, and maybe it could end up being a different song altogether. So I basically was just looking for some kind of an intro part that would basically feel like when you sit in your car and you turn on the ignition and you're starting to warm it up, and then you pull the car out of the garage and hit the gas and go. It's kind of, the song kind of would build like that. And so I came up with a little chord progression for Ride On, but it's actually similar to another chord progression for a great driving song, the one called Highway Star. So it's, it's a tip of the hat to Highway Star, which is one of the great driving songs.
No doubt. Well, let's check it out right now. This is Ride On. It's brand new, Revolution Saints, right here on your Classic Metal Show.